Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Virgie. Today, we're going to go over 40 days in Raid Shadow Legends. I started this account back in early December of 2023. And today, we have hit the 40-day mark, and I just kind of wanted to show where I have been able to make it to thus far as a free-to-play player. First things first, level 52 so far on the account. I do want to show that I was able to complete the first set of referrals and make it to the chronum fragments on my second set. I will eventually get these up to level 50 accounts to get the last 3 sacred shards and the skin, but as of right now, that's not a huge priority, so I've kind of held off on that for now. I want to quickly show my gem count, or my gem count is around 3,000 gems thus far. The only thing that I have spent gems on in this game has been maxing out our gem mine early and unlocking all 5 spaces of the sparring pit. I did this pretty early on, and it has really helped progress the number of 6 stars that I'm able to get. I used the method of getting 5 champions to 4-star level. Typically start them, I think, about level 15 to 18. You can adjust those levels depending on how often you're playing or how quickly you want them to hit 4-star 40. But for me, around 15 to 18 worked pretty well. And essentially, this gets me a 6-star per week without having to try too terribly difficult. We'll take a look at kind of some of the other resources that I have. Fairly low on silver at the moment, as we are in the middle of a fusion, which I will go over here shortly as well. But as far as shards are concerned, I have not opened a single ancient shard since I have started this account. All of these ancient shards have been acquired through playing the game, tournaments, events, faction wars, campaign rewards. There's a bunch of different ways to get ancient shards. And here recently, as I've been going through the fusion and doing a bunch of dungeons, I've gotten quite a few from dungeons and a couple from push and keeps as well. I'm actually a bit shocked by how many you end up accumulating. So far, I have opened 10 void shards to this point. I have been opening these exclusively on 2x's or with an opportunity to get Man-Eater. I believe I opened 3 where there was not a 2x, but there was a times 15 chance to get a Man-Eater. I did try with 3 shards to get that. Didn't work out. I've opened 1 primal shard thus far. I got a rare. Unsurprisingly, the rates for primal shards are not the greatest. A lot of people call them ancient shards, red ancient shards. I've not seen a lot of opportunity to get these. I did not get any free ones since I was not playing when they were released. I know they gave out several. I think it was 3 primal shards for free when they released. And sacred shards. I have opened 6 sacred shards to this point. And those sacred shards have been acquired through missions. So there's a sacred shard for the second set of Arbiter missions that I've completed. They've been acquired through the monthly. So I did the first 30 days of the monthly, and now we've gone yet another 10 days into our second set. I did get 4 through the first set of referral, which was huge. So that's essentially where I've gotten the majority of them. Campaign is another area where you get them. If I look at hard, you get one for completing that. Brutal as well. I don't actually have any missions to show since I've actually completed all of the missions. The champion missions, dungeon missions, the artifact missions, and the arena missions have all been completed. So I no longer have that screen, but you do get one sacred shard from that and two legendary books. One thing I would like to note as far as summoning is concerned, I did summon one prism crystal, and I have not progressed far enough in the cursed city to do the remnant summoning so far. But we did summon one prism crystal and got incredibly lucky. So let me quickly show you my roster. Right now we are working with Pytheon, who has been an absolute carry for this account. I've never used Pytheon before, and I'm very, very happy with what we have. Pytheon was from the Prism Crystal. Deacon Armstrong is who I started with as a starter. Sun Wukong was an option for my starter code, but I elected to not pick up Sun Wukong to make things a little bit more interesting. Vergis has been an absolute carry on this account as well. He was a link code. So when I started my account, I did start with Deacon, Vergis, and if I look at my vault, Rector Drath as well. So from the 6 ancients, logins, and 1 promo code, we've managed to pick up these epics thus far. Most notably is going to be Perikin the Fat, Ruella. Discard was actually a promo code, but those two are likely the most impactful ones that we'll have for a decent time. Captain Tamilia is actually going to likely be one of my next 6 stars. And I'm very surprised by this. When I pulled her, I was not too terribly thrilled since it's not a champion that most people really think very highly of. But I did notice the Demon Lord score and was kind of intrigued. I've actually fully booked this champion since it is clan versus clan right now. I did not intend to fully book them, but the way the books fell, yeah, it is what it is. But the reason that I did book this champion is because she has an ally protection on a 4-turn cooldown, whereas my Burgess has an ally protection as well, but he does put increased speed on that target, which can make it a little bit more difficult to speed tune. Not impossible, but certainly a bit more difficult. And I do want consistency since I have Pytheon. Pytheon I have booked solely to have a 3-turn block debuffs and cleanse. And this is going to be absolute massive for the clan boss. So my intention is to use Pytheon as my cleanser and block debuffs so I can be affinity friendly, as well as Ferrican the Fat for ally attack. He also does HP burn and poisons, as well as a decreased defense on his A1, which will be fantastic. So those are kind of the first 3 champions that I'll be using for clan boss. And to fill in for damage, there's currently a fusion happening. The collaboration of Raid Shadow Legends and Monster Hunter has kicked off since we are now into mid-January. And the fusion is for this champion here, Xenogrid Blade Master. She initially, when I was looking at her, I wasn't sure if I was going to do this fusion, not because it was going to be too difficult, but early on, I have to be very careful about which fusions I go for since they need to help me progress in Clan Boss. Until I can start getting the top chest from Clan Boss on Ultra Nightmare, my resources are going to be heavily limited when it comes to shards and legendary books. And the faster I can get to top chest of Ultra Nightmare Clan Boss, the faster I'll be able to progress my account and move on to focusing on other areas of the game. So for this champion, A1 has a 30% chance of placing a weaken. Fantastic. It's a 3-hitter. Giant Slayer is going to be amazing. A2, 4-hitter. Increases her turn meter, which I was not thrilled about. Also places increased speed buff on all allies. Definitely going to be difficult for tuning. But her A3 has a 75% chance unbooked, which I don't have a lot of books, so it's going to be like that for a while. The first and second hit have a 75% chance of placing a leech. Very helpful. And the third and fourth hit have a 75% chance of decreased attack. So super helpful. Also puts increased attack on her. And when I read her kit, initially my thoughts were, I'm not sure. Is this really going to help with Clan Boss? Then I remembered you can just turn off skills. So I will likely run this champion in my Clan Boss team as a 1-to-1 ratio. My Captain Tamila, since she has a 4-turn cooldown on her ally protection, will go on a 4-3 ratio while the rest of my champions go on a 1-1. And this will be one of my damage dealers. Increase attack, decrease attack, leech, and a weaken all in one champion with all of their hits being able to proc Giant Slayer. Absolutely amazing. So we're currently in the middle of the fusion for that, and I'll give you an update on where I am here shortly. But I did want to show the 5th member of our Clan Boss team, which will be Rathalos Blade Master. This is the current login champion. I could have picked him up today if I was collecting them every day. I've opted to delay grabbing him until today's the 16th, until the 19th, so 3 more days, because I want to get credit for there's an upcoming champion chase, and I want to get a free 500 points from just delaying collecting this champion. But Rathalos is apparently, from what we can see, today's kind of been the first day that everybody can actually claim them on their accounts and build them and use them. Appears to be incredibly great in both killable and unkillable clan boss teams, as well as Hydra, which is going to be the next focus after we get our clan boss sorted. This champion does not eat accuracy, has a 50% chance of placing decreased defense. The target is a boss. This debuff cannot be resisted. Only 50% chance, but we're going to have an ally attack with Farrakhan, so we'll get more hits, as well as Farrakhan's A1 also has, I believe, a 50 or 60% chance. So we should have decreased defense down quite consistently, as well as weaken. Every second usage of this skill is going to be an AoE for Z2, which is pretty interesting. So it is going to attack one enemy. Every second time it's going to do AoE. What we found out about is the multipliers for this particular champion are the same, regardless of its single target or AoE. If the target is a boss, we'll ignore 100% of the target's defense, which is great. The third skill, similar to Xenogrid Blade Master, is likely something we are going to turn off in our 1-to-1 speed tune without. I don't want to make Rathalos unable to use another content because slowing him down enough to play around this increased speed. So we'll just turn this off. But it does attack all enemies and places a increased crit damage buff and a speed buff on himself. This champion hits incredibly hard. And then the passive is the best part. Inflicts 50% more damage against targets under HP burn. Ferric in the Fat brings this HP burn. Also receives 25% less damage, which is essentially a strengthened buff from enemies under HP burn. Not only that, every 5th skill used by this champion deals 200% more damage. And the way that this is tested out is they're including his A1 as a skill. So with ally attacks, counter attacks, and just regular usage of the skill is going to count towards this counter. It'll be difficult to kind of get him set up to do his most amount of damage, to get his A2 lined up, but I don't think that's going to matter too much. It's just getting him to go as many times as possible. I think that's going to be retaliation set for Clan Boss, as well as the ally attack from Ferric in the Fat. So that's what my Clan Boss team is going to be looking like. We have a lot of work that we're going to have to do to actually get to that point. Prior to this, my Clan Boss team was going to look way differently with the current champions that I had. But I think that since we've recently summoned these champions, this is going to be the way to go, or will summon some of them. This is going to be the way to go. So we'll use Pythion, Lady Tamilia, or Captain, excuse me, Tamilia, Farrakhan, Zenogre Blade Master, as well as Rathalos. And I think that that will give us a pretty good starting point for Nightmare Clan Boss. Kind of show you where I am right now. Currently, I hit 1 key hard and just barely 3 key brutal, depending on affinity. But a lot of that has to do with the fact that Kale has 6-star masteries and Burgess also has 6-star masteries. That's it. I run Deacon, Pythion, Coffin Smasher, Burgess, and Kale in my current Clan Boss setup, just because those were the champions that I had available at the time. And I had not pulled really any shards other than voids for roughly the first 30 days. I'm not unhappy that I've leveled up these champions. They'll be helpful in other areas. Coffin Smasher, up until the fusion announcement, has been my decrease attack and had an HP burn, so we went ahead and went with him. I did actually get a 1-star ascension on Pythia, which I put, let me see if I can remember. Ascensions are still pretty new to me. We did put Brimstone, which at the time made sense. I was going to have to build him with accuracy because I didn't have any other legendary champions that could do Brimstone, so Pythia does have a bit of accuracy at the moment. That will change because we have, just check the Soul Merchant. We were able to pick up ahead of the fusion a 1-star blessing for Zenogre Blade Master, who we're already going to have to put accuracy on, which is perfect. Rathalos wouldn't make sense. We don't need accuracy in his kit. I would like to still pick up an ascension for him, but not nearly as critical as Zenogre Blade Master. So I am happy that we were able to pick that up. See, what else have we been able to accomplish? I guess I can kind of show the missions. The Arbiter missions were almost about to finish. Stage 3, we could have finished this a lot more quickly, these last few missions, but I've been holding off on them to kind of line them up with the fusion as much as possible. This is a fragment fusion. We have 50 frags thus far. And as I started this account, I started during the Blizzard fusion and actually intentionally pushed enough early on to get enough fragments to summon two Bovos, simply because I knew they're worth 250 points in a champion chase that I would ultimately need for my first fusion, which I'm very happy that I did that. I've also not collected my Chronom for the same reason, 500 points, or my Jamarsa. I have been collecting all the fragments that I need for Bloodhorn because I will have everything I need to use a Broadmaw. I did pick up a Huntress in my first Void summoning session. Broadmaw being 350 points. That's really what I'm going after at the moment. That way I don't have to use shards. I would really still like to be saving. That's why I haven't opened any ancient shards yet. There has been, I think, 2x ancients in the first 40 days that I've been playing. And these are 40 consecutive days. I haven't missed any days at this point for the free to play account. So in the past 40 days, I believe there's been 2 times ancients. I did not summon simply because I wanted to save for the upcoming fusion, and I didn't know what those summoning requirements were going to be. One other thing I wanted to show for the fragments is I'm 40 days in. I have 31 Drexstar fragments. I have been picking these up on a daily basis. I don't think I have missed a day. Haven't been as consistent on the time that I've picked them up, so I've kind of pushed them back a little bit, which will end up costing me a day in the long run, but we're almost a third of the way there for Drexar. Been buying mystery shards as much as possible when they show up in the market. I've obviously unlocked the market. Mystery shards, I'm trying to get slowly accumulate more than I'm using for future fusion events. I would like to get around 3 to 5,000 for upcoming fusions. Let me take a quick look at this. Is my second rotation of Doom Tower. The first rotation of Doom Tower was open for me for roughly a week, I think. And I just got through the first boss, which was Bommel, and Burgess soloed it. I am currently stuck on floor 90. Yeah, looks like floor 90. Simply because up until recently, I had not summoned a champion that I could keep alive and get fast enough that does decrease or 100% heal reduction. I do currently have a champion, Chrysalis Gravedirt, who does have this ability. It's a 75% chance, and it does attack all enemies, which is not ideal. I have not attempted to use him yet. Doom Tower at this point is less of my priority. There's only 4 days left in this rotation. I will likely not be pushing any further on this rotation. I may try a couple of times, but right now the majority of my focus is on the current fusion. And with Doom Tower resetting in 4 days, I'm not going to make too much more progress. I wanted to show a live arena will show. We unlocked that recently at level 50. I've done a little bit of live arena. I've done 7 apparently as far as wins are concerned. Just enough to grab some energy, XP boost, and some silver. I will slowly be pushing these milestones. It's worth doing. Decent rewards for just casually using your tokens on a daily basis. I will As I round out my roster a bit more, this will be much easier right now. When you're selecting 5 stars, 5-star 50s instead of 6 stars, your chances of winning are pretty low. Tag Team Arena, I am currently, since the first reset, I made it into Bronze 2, and I have sat in Bronze 2 ever since. Bronze 2 is very good for me since I'm getting 8 bars per win rather than 6. This allows me to build a small surplus throughout the week, as well as when you get your placement, you get a bigger bonus of 540 versus 410. I have, like I said, been using them for Drexstar fragments. I did use them for the Void Rare, and I've been using them for energy exclusively. I've not used 1200 bars for Ancient Shards yet. I will likely won't do that until much further in the future or until I'm done with the Drexstar fragments. I do use, or at least try to use, I think I've been successful 99% of the time, all of my keys on a regular basis. Most of my time is spent refreshing this window, and as you can see, I have not been attacked in a while, so it looks like I'm going to level up. These teams typically get a lot harder in team power. Now, when I'm down in the red, the teams that show up are the one man, 1-star level 1 defenses that I love to see. But with enough refreshes throughout the day, even if you get up into this higher bracket with a lot of wins like I have now, you can get through it. It just takes a lot of refreshing and getting maybe one fight or nothing. Same thing for where I'm at. I'm just a little bit past what, a day or so, day and a half past reset, and I'm sitting near quote unquote platinum. I farm one man defenses. Arbiters can be tough depending on how they're built, but I try to stick to no more than about 55,000 power single arbiter teams. That seems to be about what my team can currently do. I don't have much for damage. I have a lot of survivability, which is not the greatest against an arbiter who can heal herself. So these typically work out pretty well for me. And because of that, I am able to stay in gold 5 pretty consistently. After resets, I typically dip into gold 4 just barely and then get back into 5. But I try to use as many tokens as I possibly can every single day, which has allowed me to, in 40 days, do this. I did get 3 up to affinity bonuses up to level 5 for the missions, so I could get the missions to go away. That was the last mission I completed. And while I was waiting for clan versus clan, I actually managed to farm up enough to take my next affinity bonus, which I will have to do for arbiter missions later on, up to level 7. Ultimately, I'm going to take Spirit Affinity up to level 10 simply because I have a surplus of Spirit Affinity champions at the moment, shortly followed by Magic thereafter. I'm only going to go to level 10 immediately for one of them since that's required for the Arbiter missions. If I can show the stats really quickly here. I don't know when these stats reset. I don't think it tells me. I don't know if these are daily or what this is, but maybe it's weekly. In a day and a half, I've done roughly 70 and at 100% win rate, so I haven't lost any. That will get you gold bars rather quickly. Once again, I'm refreshing roughly every 15 minutes because I have the luxury of doing so, working from home and having another screen open just to look over, click refresh, and then fight a one-man defense. And I do that throughout the day. Arbiter missions, I will, like I said, I could have completed these a lot more quickly, but I'm trying to line them up for the fusion. Currently, the fusion happening, we have a Dungeon Divers. This will be the second dungeon diver event. First one was 3,700. This one was 4,000. These are a bit tough, not being able to farm level 20 dungeons, but I am able to farm level 16 dungeons for Fire Knight, Ice Golem, and Dragon. And I will be farming stage 10 for Spider, simply because stage 10 is currently bugged and it gives you significantly more 5 stars than 4 stars. So at 12 energy versus doing, I haven't even tried. I've just gotten to 10 because that's what I know that I need to get preliminary artifacts. Once I do have Chronum built, I'm going to build a team around Chronum that can increase our speed, reduce the turn meter of the Spider, and get him cycling through his abilities. So Deacon, Armiger, perhaps our login champion, Pikatoon, Python, block debuffs, revive, remove debuffs, and attempt to do Spider 20 with a team similar to that. As I'm able to get these champions up to 6-star 60 with masteries, that'll become easier. But as a preliminary team, that's what I'm shooting for, because the sooner I can get to Spider 20 and farm it consistently, the less issue with silver I will have going forward for these fusions. Because what I've figured out, these fusions are not too terribly difficult as far as the dungeon requirements. I've saved so many energy pots. I think I started this fusion with roughly, I think it was 21, and I have 19 at the moment. I haven't had to use a lot. I haven't used any gems for refills yet. We just had a promo code that got us 500 energy. Our clan versus clan, I've used up all of this energy, and we're getting close to getting our milestone 10, which is fantastic. Another ancient shard. But yeah, using all this energy, I was able to get Ice Golem completed today. Not only completed, but I actually went to the top reward, which was exactly 2750. I don't know how I did that, but that was the top reward, was 2750, because I needed the skill book, the epic skill tome for Farrakhan, since I believe he needs, now he needs 2 more. He'll need 1 more once my clan hits 600,000 points, which we're on pace to do. I haven't looked at this in a while. We've almost 2 to 1. It's pretty good. If we look at, I happen to be on top with 53,000 points. And a lot of folks have saved, well, I guess not in this clan, but a lot of folks have saved their Rathalos login for today, which is 30,000 points. I decided to not do that since it's not a personal reserve clan versus clan, and I need the points for Champion Chase. Let me see. What have I not gone over? As far as Champion Chase is concerned, I have with Rathalos login champion happening, as well as summoning both Bovos, Jamarsa, Bloodhorn, and Chronum, as well as completing the fusion of Relic Keeper. So we can fuse Relic Keeper right now. We have everything ready to go. And fusing Broadmaw. We'll have 2,500 points, which I hope, that's how many it was for the Blizzard fusion. So I'm hoping we're about there. I am able to skip, because I summoned 6 sacred shards. I was able to skip I am going to be able to skip the upcoming 2 more artifact enhancements. That would have been as far as the make or break of this fusion, that would have been the break for me. I did not have the silver. That's the one thing I did not prepare well enough for. And it's a lesson learned for the next fusion. I have not done a fusion in probably over a year, 2 years. I used to play this game fairly regularly and then stopped and have come back to it recently. So, but it's been a long time since I've done one. So I did not plan accordingly for silver, something I will not replicate in the future. Yeah, we are on track to get Xenogra Blade Master. We have, well, I guess we can just take a quick look at the news and I can show you. All right. So we've done pretty much everything to this point. We're 5 fragments short since we haven't completed Dungeon Divers, but we have some time. This is Dungeon Divers 2. Today's the 16th, and we have until the 19th, which overlaps with Fire Night. And if I look at where we are, we're over halfway. We're at 2,200 points out of the required 4,000. So with pushing Fire Night for the Fire Night tournament, we should be good to go there. As well, champion training starts in 8 hours. Skipping this artifact enhancement event since we don't have nearly enough silver to get that done. Okay. So we will be skipping the next 2 artifact enhancement events and likely the last dungeon divers if I can. I would like to, this is a really big energy sink, and I would like to tough it out in my slow Fire Knight team and get that done and not have to do that last dungeon divers and save myself energy for the future. Which means in order to do that, we are going to have to do the champion training, which is, well, that's a tournament. So this would be the champion training event, which will be tomorrow through the 22nd, which is pretty good timing for me, honestly. I'm gone from not summoning shards for nearly 30 days to having a sudden influx of champions. So I need plenty of food to get that done. So we'll have to do champion training event and then a champion chase tournament, which we do have the fragments for, or hopefully we should have enough points for. We will see. But we do have shards as a backup if we need to. I also believe that that is going to happen over a 2x void weekend. So we will likely be getting some points from our voids. We'll open the voids first to see what we get point wise before we start dipping into our saved fragment champions. We'll need to complete Spider Tournament, Fire Knight, and another Classic Arena, and we will have this character in the bag. I've tried to plan out my energy usage, trying not to use gems. I'd like to surplus. I'd like to be up over 5,000 gems before the next fusion comes out. So I've been specifically targeting events and tournaments that do reward gems, and it makes sense for me. But saving these energy potions or energy refills, excuse me, has been absolutely massive, and I've just used maybe 3 or 4 of them to this point. I didn't probably have to, more out of impatience. One of the other things that I've been keeping up with has been my clan quests and making sure I'm doing them with my clan. I'm in a sin cluster, so we can take one of the elite and one expert within the first 24 hours. We're just about outside the 24-hour period. Here shortly, I will pick up, if it is still available, the, nope, somebody's already picked it up, which is fine. Well, maybe not everybody knows the rules, but that's okay. Would have loved to have picked that up. But anyway, yeah, it looks like everybody's kind of doing it. So I'm just going to go ahead and pick this up just because kind of everybody else is. But increase defense in tag team arena. I can get these both knocked out. Plus, this one will be knocked out here shortly as well. Fortunately, the week just reset on our clan gold, and we can buy 1,000 energy, which I do plan on doing for champion training. Any amount of energy that I can acquire without gems or money is most welcome. As I get through this first fusion and start to have a greater stockpile of resources, I will be switching my focus of clan gold usage to Yakarl fragments, because I think he's going to be a great addition to my roster. Having a Void Legendary who is also very useful for Spider, um, as well as I progress that way, the Cursed City, Hard Fire Knight, and Faction Wars. So quite a few uses for him. Would be happy to add him to my squad. Then after that, I will likely go for Yannicka, just because. Yeah, that's kind of the account tour at level, or excuse me, at day 40. As you can see, I'm not collecting my Rathalos chase. We will have roughly 10 void shards for the up if it is 2x void. The schedule for the 2x's has gotten very messed up here recently. It used to be very reliable, now it's not. But we expect 2x voids this weekend, of which I have 7. The login will give me 8, and I will be getting 2 from the Arbiter missions as well. So we'll have 10. I've pulled 10 to this point, and we will do a shard pull video if that event happens. Please let me know if you have any questions about the account. I have actually filmed quite a bit of this progress thus far. I'm still working on learning video editing, so I have not put it together, but I will likely do a series kind of leading up to these first 40 days, and I will attempt to keep regular updates happening, perhaps weekly, or maybe in another 40 days. We'll see. I'll continue filming progress without commentary, maybe add commentary to it later, but just kind of show really what I'm doing, or at least my thought process and methodology of how I play the game. And my journey. This is my main account. I have decided to completely kind of start over after taking quite some time off and attempt to be more like some of the other free-to-play content creators and really strive for efficiency. So if that's something you're interested and you've made it this far into the video, I appreciate it. Until next time, you have a good one.